come here. Iceland is one of the most craziest places I have ever visited in my life. Did you know that Iceland has more than 130 volcanic mountains and still 30 of them are active? Did you know that in cold winters the Iceland temperature can reach up to minus 30 degrees? There are so many crazy things about this country that makes you wonder, and I wish I knew these things before I visited them.
Chat Abroad took the liberty to visit one of the most fascinating Nordic countries in the world and the bridge between two continents, North America and Eurasia. And it's Iceland. So today we want to talk about and share our experience of visiting this marvelous country. We will first talk about how to get there. Then we will come to must-visit locations and do's and don'ts in Iceland, and while actually doing the trip. And at the end, we will discuss how much it can actually cost.
Yeah, that is a very important part for everyone that wants to visit there, the overall price there. So basically the first topic that we wanted to talk about is exactly how we got there. So basically it will be different for every individual based on their locations. But generally when you want to get to Iceland, there are only two major ways. There is the flight, which is the main one and like the most common one. And there is the ferry, whether you want to go with a car to the ferry and then go like a cruise and then reach to the Iceland country. But for our case, we took a direct flight from Berlin. But as you know, we live in Chemnitz, for our viewers and listeners that already know our channel. So we had to book the flight from booking.com. But there was some facts also that might be interesting for you. We had to get up really early in the morning at 3 a.m. because our flight was at 8 from Berlin. Yeah, it was at 11, so we had to be there by 8. And there's like a 4-hour drive from Chemnitz to Berlin, and we were really tired. And then we have almost 4-hour flight to Iceland, and from there, when we wanted to reach our apartment that we rented, which we will discuss in the future, in the next part of this video, we went with our rented car.
So maybe it's worth to mention that because in our case we booked everything too late, the cheapest option for us was booking.com. And me as a member, I registered in the website and I get 15% off on every types of accommodation, cars, etc. flights.
Yeah.
So
and also it's important to know that it's not a promotion for booking.com. We are just saying because it's one of the best ones to rent, not renting, to book your basically flights and everything. And the price for this flight that we got for a round trip, which I hope it will be added here, was 700 euros from Berlin to Reykjavik. And then we will add all of the prices at the end and discuss how much it will cost to go there.
So maybe let's talk about arrival and renting a car. The interesting fact is that in Iceland, it's a wide country, and if you want to visit main attractions, you need a car. It's pretty far, and every time getting a taxi will literally rob your pocket. So yeah, we also decided to rent a car, and which I did via the website VIP Cars, and paid 310 euros plus insurance. It's cheaper without insurance, but in my case, because we were going in winter, and I just wanted to make sure that everything is going to be fine and everything is going to be covered, so we decided to take extra insurance. And the company name is Ice Rental 4x4. It's very reliable and friendly company. But you have to keep in mind that you have to deposit with your credit card almost 2,500 euros, which is not a small amount of money. But keep in mind that, it will be returned if the car is fine, everything is going to be back to your account. And in our case, we rented a Skoda Octavia. In the first time, I ordered and reserved per website Toyota Yaris, which I didn't get it. And they mentioned in the website that you might not get what you ordered. So maybe kind of surprising a bit. For actually driving, the winter condition and the road condition in Iceland, in Reykjavik, for me personally, although I drive more than 10 years now, were complicated a little bit, maybe difficult. It's icy, it's windy, it's loads of snow outside, and overnight can snow a lot, and you have to just literally dig out your car in the mornings. So and there's a website called road.is, so it's literally a must to check it all the time if you want to go outside of the Reykjavik or even in Reykjavik, because sometimes the roads are also closed and you have to be aware of that. And the slippery roads, as I said, and there is actually a possibility to rent a car on arrival if you don't trust the websites, etc. So the price wise I already mentioned, but when I got the car it was fully tanked, and you have to return the car also fully tanked, but we paid only around like 50 euros for the petrol.
So in general we paid around 360 euros for the price of the car with gas and the renting the car itself, and the deposit will come back to your account if you haven't damaged the car or any kind of damages that might happen. They're like they say after 30 business days, but it usually comes back faster. So for the accommodation, actually what we would recommend is that you rent from a kind of a house first of all, or if it's also possible to get a hostel in Reykjavik or even around the places that you want to visit. And for us, we got the Icelandic apartments again from booking.com. And one of the good things about that place was that it was only 10 minutes drive from the central. And the apartment actually was really good. Like it had all of the equipment you needed for the kitchen. It had a washing machine, like a dishwasher. It had washing machine also, but in a different floor. It had a TV, and what is so fascinating is it had a free Netflix account. So when at nights we came back home, we could watch whatever we wanted to see. Of course, I'm an Office fan. And also we had to book like a cheaper place, which I would say the price also there were two different rooms with two different views, and one of them was the lake view, which was like a panoramic lake view, and we had the opportunity to actually luckily get that one, even though we booked the other one, which is like a parking lot view. And it costed us per person 400 euros. And it's like around 67 euros for 6 days. Actually, because we were in the duration of 6 days, it was 400 euros, like around 67 euros per night. And this price is actually really good, because even if you want to rent a hostel in Hamburg, it will cost you around 75 to 80 euros per night. And this was a really good opportunity to live in that apartment. Although one thing was a bit weird for me was the smell of hot water. It actually smelled like the boiled egg. And it's like as I searched about it, it's like the hydrogen sulfide gas. And this could be because of the water heater problems, but other than that, it was really good.
Price wise you might be shocked, but we have to mention that we went in New Year's time and in winter time, and that we were able to book the cheapest actually in Iceland. Iceland is expensive, okay? Don't think that it's gonna be
It truly is, and actually in winter it could
Yeah.
be cheaper, like
Cheaper.
flight-wise and also accommodation. But in general, it's a really expensive country. Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about must-visit location. First day when we arrived, we rested, of course, but the next day we took a trip, a road trip, a small road trip. Lasted 1.5 hours from central of Reykjavik, and we visited Geysir geothermal steams, and it's when the steam comes out from the ground, and it's like actually we will attach the videos. It's pretty fascinating. It amazes you, how is it even possible? But yeah, it was really beautiful.
Yeah.
And keep in mind the parking is €6. It's not cheap. And we ate also lamb soup there. It's a huge recommendation.
With the salad and the special green sauce. That
and it was really delicious. And then we drove 15 minutes from there to Gullfoss waterfalls. I hope I pronounce everything correctly. I don't know. And the roads were fascinating. It was slippery, snowy, but the scenery was amazing. I can surely say it was one of the most fascinating, amazing landscapes I have ever driven through. Yeah, it's one in a lifetime experience for me. We saw the Gullfoss waterfalls. It's something else. You just have to see it with your own eyes. No words can describe it.
And it's really important to know that it's free. Actually, there was also a statue of a woman that basically said that this place should never be sold to any kind of a property. So that is why it's open for visiting for everyone. And from there we drove back to Reykjavik again, because it was getting pretty dark in Iceland in winter. You have literally like 4 or 5 hours daylight, which might be a bit depressing. But we didn't want to risk too much, so we drove back to before it's night. Drove back to Reykjavik and went exactly to Perlan Museum, which showcases wonders of Iceland, like man-made ice cave, first and the most biggest man-made ice cave, lava shows, northern lights, waterfalls, and etc. It's pretty amazing. You have to just see it with your own eyes. And additionally it had 360 degrees panoramic view of the city. It was dark, but you could see the city and the lights and everything. It was great. And we paid €35 per person, which is pretty normal for Iceland. For us it's not. For Iceland it was. One of the other places that we would also recommend doing is a whale watching, but we will later discuss about the do's and don'ts, most specifically about this topic. And the whale watching is it's a really crazy experience. You can mostly experience it in Nordic countries and also maybe some countries around the Indian Ocean, I guess.
Yeah, sure. But wherever the ocean, there is ocean.
Basically. And we had the chance actually to watch a couple of humpback whales, and they also give you really fascinating facts about these whales while you are there. But you have to know that you have to be dressed really good for this ride, because it will be freezing cold on the boat. I mean, even our eyelashes were getting frozen from the wind that you get from the weather, really cold weather on the boat. And basically, whatever you wear, they will also give you a kind of an overall red jumpsuit that everyone wear, and it's actually quite a united kind of a look, but that can cover you better and can keep you warmer. And this boat ride is around 2 to 3 hours. And you really have the chance to see some whales while you are there. And also, if you are lucky, you can see some seagulls. And what was the other?
Seals?
Seals, yeah, okay. Sorry. The seals. And the whole price was around 90 euros again per person, which is, again, it's really expensive. But it's a one-time experience. So yeah, why not to do it? Another place that I would really recommend going, which is also really famous in Iceland, is a really famous lighthouse called Grotta. Mm-hmm. And that place is actually really fascinating because it has black sands, which is affected from the volcanic activations around it. And you just have a fantastic view of sunrise or sunset or whenever time you go there. And you literally can see that even at the shore, the water is getting frozen at the end of the water that reaches to the beach. And that place is also one of the most visited places for Northern Light exhibitions, kind. If you are lucky, you can see if level of the auroras is high or whatever. Other than that, we also went to one of the most craziest places that I would definitely recommend you go, and it's the hot springs. Well, there are a lot of different hot springs in Reykjavik or in Iceland itself. And there are some of them that are kind of overrated, like Blue Lagoon or Sky Lagoon. But the one that we went is called Hammsvík. Yeah, it's a really difficult to pronounce. But it's also really good because it is natural. It's also not that much far. It's like 40 minutes drive from the central. And the road, again, was just crazy. I mean, you could literally see the snake snows the roads have, and also like small waterfalls that has coming from all the frozen lakes around you. It's just a crazy experience while you are driving in this kind of road. And the good thing about this hot spring is that it has different locations, like different pools with different temperatures, and it is exactly in front of the ocean. So if people are brave, they also go to the ocean, although it was 1 degree the day that we were there. And even when we wanted to go to the hot water for the first time, because your body still is cold and you have taken shower and you want to go there, it's just so crazy. And also, what is so interesting is that the temperature at that day, it was around minus 15, 17 degrees. And we had to hang our towels, for instance, in a place. And then we wanted to go from one pool to another one, we had to took them. And the moment we wanted to take the towel was like standing like it was already frozen.
Yeah, it was frozen.
Yeah, it was really crazy. And what other thing that I can tell you is that the price also, which would be around, again, 75 euros per person. Again, I know it's really expensive, but this is a kind of experience you can do just once in a lifetime.
Yeah. And we have to also mention that we have tried one of the best seafood soups there.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, like I generally don't like soups, but this soup that I tried there, it was just crazy. I mean, even when I think about it, I start salivating. It had seashells in it, like oysters,
the shrimps,
and it had also nuts in it, like walnut, pistachio, almond, and the texture of it was just crazy.
It was amazing.
And also the view that we had.
Especially after hot spring.
Yeah, it was really good.
It's another level. So I will be pretty ordinary saying that, but in Reykjavik you have to visit the central. And the streets are amazing. There are rainbow streets, a lot of shops, souvenir shops, a lot of museums, and all the buildings are so unique and colorful. And we also saw the most famous church. It's huge. You just have to see it. It's huge. And we went also for New Year's there for fireworks. It was amazing. And we also we were also freezing, and we really wanted to go get a coffee. And because it was pretty late, we saw that there are like only few coffee shops are open, and so we went to one of them without knowing what kind of coffee shop is that, but we end up coming to Philological Museum, and I have to admit that coffee was pretty good there.
Yeah.
And we had some waffles with unique shapes.
Yeah, it was a bit unpleasant shaped waffles that you don't want to see, at least, but the taste was fine.
Yeah, but it was also a museum, and the museum it's for the people who really like this kind of things. And I have to admit that I realized while our trip that Icelandic people are pretty obsessed with palace, and it's one of the most visited museums in Iceland. So yeah. And we also went to the Sun Voyager. I hope I say it right. It was beautiful. We took some videos. We will attach in our video.
And you will check this place.
I have to also say that when we were coming back from after celebrating New Year's from that church, we were lucky enough to witness Northern Lights. And all of the days we were staying, it was cloudy, it was snowing, and we kind of gave up that we will see even Northern Lights in our trip. But a miracle happened, and in the new year we witnessed Northern Lights. It was amazing. It really, the nature never actually fails to amaze you.
Yeah.
And different lights, different colors. We were really blessed.
Yeah. One of the things that I just wanted to also mention is that if you go to the lighthouse, as I mentioned before, you are able to also collect some really fascinating souvenirs, and most importantly free souvenirs. So for instance, I can show you. This is a volcanic stone. We came up with this kind of approach, so you can see also.
Yeah.
And it's really actually cute. I really loved it. I just saw it on the beach and I took it. And another one is a shell. Yeah, of course. And this one also, if you saw, it has some kind of a black texture on it. And this is exactly, again, because of this volcanic activities on them. And other than that, I have a really great obsession on checking some keychains that I always take. It's like a tradition for me from different countries that I visit. And this one is the one I took from the shop that we were also trying the lamb soup. And yeah, so there are a lot of opportunities to also collect souvenirs for free or also buy them from different shops. So let's come to the do's and don'ts, and then we can also talk about the overall payments that we did and burned a hole in our pockets. Okay.
So if you are going in winter, which we did, the do's are clothing is really important. Layers. You have to take with yourself a lot of layers. Base layer, thermal layer, and like warm wool, or like warm layer, and long sleeves, of course, and great shoes. Shoes are really important because it's really snowy and slippery out there, so you have to wear accordingly. And the crampons, if you are going outside of Reykjavik and going to visit this nature attractions, we recommend you to have crampons. It will really make your walking easy. And thick
it's
hat.
really important.
And the thick hat is a must-have because it's really freezing cold. Even if you go to hot spring, you have to wear a thick hat to keep your ears warm. And from the technical gadgets, we would recommend you to have a light. As I mentioned, the daylights are pretty short there, so sometimes you just need a light if you're walking on the streets. It might be pretty dark. And if you possess a car and you are coming and renting a car in winter in Iceland, we would recommend to bring with yourself ice scraper because we didn't have that, so we had to use the brush from our apartment that we rented. Yeah, it's a must-have. Unfortunately, we didn't know that.
Yeah.
So, and the power bank, because of the cold, the phones literally lose their battery as a speed of light. And the tripod for your contents, believe and trust me, you need that because the scenery will leave you speechless.
Yeah.
You just have to...
It's really important to have it.
Yeah, you just have to record that, and forever, you will be forever grateful for that. And of course, as we mentioned, renting a car, preferably 4-wheel drive, because the roads are pretty dangerous. I wouldn't say like bad, but it would be better with the gravel, with the snow, with the ashes and everything to rent a 4-wheel drive. And as we said, we preferred renting apartment. It's cheaper, it's more comfortable. You are free to cook yourself if you are on a budget travel, or you can also rent a hostel. It's up to you. And as I also mentioned, you have to check the road conditions all the time. There are special websites. We will also mention it in our video. Yes, just check it all the time because roads get closed unexpectedly and the weather can change very rapidly. It's something you have to always take into account in Iceland. And the must visit is hot springs. I always say, like, please go and visit hot springs. You will never regret this decision. Whatever it costs, just go and visit it. It's once in a lifetime experience. And what we did, which was not good in my opinion, that we booked everything very late. So we recommend you to book everything beforehand, even the tours if you want to go to different attractions, even the hot springs because they get fully booked. Yes, and of course accommodation, cars and flights and everything. You will book everything way cheaper than we did.
Yeah, and also it will be really important because, for instance, if you are going to book, now we are even talking about the winter time. If it's going to be in summer, it will be even much more difficult to book this kind of accommodation or tours. Or
because it gets pretty crowded.
Yeah.
In summertime, it's really popular in Iceland because, you have more possibility to see more.
Yeah. And to talk about don'ts, I will go really quick for them. Well, of course, off-road driving is really dangerous, so don't do it, and it's actually prohibited there. You will be fined. And also, if you are going for like northern light watching and you are like in a country road really far from city, don't try to stay more than like at 9 o'clock because you never know the weather conditions in Iceland, specifically in winter. We are mostly also talking about winter, so it will be really difficult to come back, and then you will end up costing a lot, not only like a price wise but also regarding danger, things that might happen to you. And one of the things that also we were discussing about it that I would recommend not trying, which I was also talking about in the beginning of the video, is whale watching in the winter, because although we did observe a lot of whales and we saw them coming through the surface of the water, we saw them going through the stuff and everything, in my opinion in winter they are more tired, and so you don't see like a big jump if they do sometimes, like coming halfway up to the water, or doing the big splashes, as they call it.
Actually, in winter time, there are more old whales because the younger whales, they are immigrating to other warmer waters.
Yeah.
So more recommended to go on whale watching and puffins watching.
Puffins also are in Iceland in summertime.
Yeah.
The other thing that we would say is that do not underestimate weather conditions. Again, as Olimar said, also always check them in the different websites which they also recommend. Like one of the most important was regarding the roads is www.road.is, which stands for Iceland. And do not forget the Safety Road website, as I said, and also to have the Aurora app always with yourself, because that way you can know like at what time and what time of the day or what kind of weather condition it will be that highest point, and you have the chance to see this magnificent and most beautiful things in nature. So it brings us to the part that really hurt me to talk about it. It's actually the overall payment that we did. So I will just talk about them in general and maybe add them one by one together. So we paid 700 euros for our flight. This is per person. 400 euros for 6 nights of stay in Iceland, which was, as I said, it's an apartment kind. 90 euros for whale watching, 75 euros for hot springs, 40 euros for the museum that we saw, the ice caves, 160 euros for renting the car in Overal and per person again, and 250 euro for the food, and plus 50 euro for the 25 euro per person for the gas that we paid. So overall it becomes to 1,740 euros per person if you want to visit Iceland in winter time, as we also went from Chemnitz, Berlin, then Reykjavik. And I would say in general it's a good price to pay to visit one of the most exotic countries in the world, and also in winter time. But still there might be other ways that people rent a van and they live in the van, although I would recommend again to do that in summertime or springtime, or even after the winter is almost finished, like in fall or something. But generally this is the overall price that we had to pay for our trip.
Yeah, so wrapping up our video about Iceland, we had a huge pleasure and huge fun exploring this country. It was one of our dreams to be there, and we just decided to come back in summer once.
Yes, hopefully.
To see it from the different perspective, and
hopefully we can share that also.
Yeah, and after we learned from our mistakes. So
hopefully this video was really helpful for you, and maybe you could also use some of these advices that, or like suggestions that might help you with your future trip to Iceland. And stay tuned for our future episodes, hopefully until next week. Tschüssi!